Welcome to PenGen's Inkwell podcast. My name is Jen Waters. I hope you enjoy my stories. Rembrandt, my rhyming poem, was inspired by my love for much of the Dutch painter's work. Many of his paintings hang in the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., including his self-portrait, Man with a Sheet of Music, and the Apostle Paul. If you ever want to visit it, the Rembrandt House Museum in Amsterdam still carries on his legacy. When I started writing this poem, I had to research to find out more about Rembrandt than I already knew. The poem took me 3 days to write, and on the second day of writing it, the New York Times published an article, Disputed Painting is Declared as Authentic Rembrandt After Decades. I almost couldn't believe it. It was June 9th, 2015. I had been sitting there trying to rhyme the life of Rembrandt, and at the same time that I was researching Rembrandt, his Saul and David masterpiece had just been deemed authentic. After decades and decades, Rembrandt's work was still relevant to our culture. So the New York Times article confirmed to me that I was on the right track, trying to rhyme the life of Rembrandt because he really was that important as an artist. I had always loved biographies and read a lot of them as a kid. I was never particularly good at painting, although I would like to be good at it. I took a drawing class in high school and I think it was my lowest grade ever, partly because we all had to pose for the rest of the class to draw us. When it was my turn, I climbed on the chair on the table. As I adjusted the chair fell from the table and I fell on the floor with the chair. By afternoon, the entire high school knew of that mishap, and everyone thought it was funny, but me. So I think my teacher thought I was destined for different types of artwork like music and writing. But I always loved the visual arts. My rhyming poem is scored to Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee by Beethoven. So here's my Rembrandt poem, and I hope it makes you go paint something new.
Let me introduce myself to you. I'm a Dutch painter through and through. Rembrandt is my chosen name. I put my paintings in a frame. They hang in famous art museums, once or twice in large coliseums. Now, I'll teach you everything I know. You're my students. It's tell and show. I understand the human condition. It puts me in a unique position to paint a portrait with truth and light. Oh, portraits are never ever trite. Light illuminates all the perspectives. Each angle reveals several objectives. I've painted myself with all my bumps. Look close and you can see my lumps, my imperfections, wrinkles, and my sags. When I'm tired, my eyes have bags. My brushwork is exquisite indeed. Every stroke is like a good deed. Keep your brushes in a glass jar and make sure the bristles never mar. I didn't hide my weaknesses and flaws. You can discern my ugly faux pas. But most times, I have a steady gaze, a reflective mood without a haze. I'll challenge you with determination. Look at my eyes and see my vocation. I could have painted a field or a pond, but confronting the viewer causes a bond. From young to old, my portraits are telling. Now and then, the paintings are selling. A visual diary across 6 decades, with blacks, greys, and deeper shades. Young and laughing with a feathered bonnet, I'm almost like a Shakespearean sonnet. I tried to pick costumes with flair, and considered what I shouldn't wear. Compare my moods and my expressions. Each pose has 99 impressions. Pen and brush with paper and ink. My drawings won't fade or shrink. Oil on canvas and walnut on oil. Artistic toil doesn't ever spoil. Cut my work down to size. My paintings will win the prize. My easel is sometimes used for etching, widening, shaping, erasing, and sketching. Pictures of myself are now quite famous. Critics compare me to good old Amos, an old-time prophet with a color palette. The simple folk have cast their ballot. From time to time, I'm too self-assured. Despite my mistakes, I've still endured. Most people romanticize my life. My heart broke when I lost my wife. And then I had financial trouble. My life almost became like rubble. When I decided to turn up my collar, my problems became so much smaller. Strength and dignity filled my face. I was struck with common grace. Once and a while, I changed my mind. The colors were dark in what I designed. Size and color of a beret might change, or hand position might rearrange. My hands were clasped, and then they were not. A paintbrush made my face distraught. Oh, I painted over the past with ease. Broad strokes have always been big keys. It's better to keep attention to the eyes. Distraction can be extremely unwise. Background circles can sometimes be good, but the foreground can't be misunderstood. Pastels were never my strongest suit. My paintings aren't flowery and cute. Historians say I'm from the Golden Age, when Baroque style was all the rage. Contemporaries look good in my paint. Sincerity and charm without restraint. Man in the golden helmet had poise. The music party made lots of noise. Girl at a window had the longest view. Old man with a gold chain, déjà vu. Philosopher in meditation was handsome. The return of the prodigal son met ransom. Saul and David was painted in 2 stages. Yes, all this work survived the ages. The Night Watch might be better known. The artist in his studio is alone. My authorship has had restoration. Paintings restored to their foundation. I am as authentic comes. And so is my work in all its sums. Now, before you go and before I leave, I have something up my sleeve. Can I paint you for my collection? The world needs your own reflection. Every single life is historic, and its course is meteoric. You can smile if you want to smile, or you can think a thought a while. Either way, your image is timeless, and your name won't be rhymeless. A larger image was the original design. My brush tried to paint the plumb line, capturing the essence of heaven on earth, life and death, and worthy rebirth.
This has been Pen Gen's Inkwell podcast. I wrote and performed all the original stories in the podcast. This podcast is produced by Eric Baines, who scored all the stories and poems in the series to original and public domain music. The podcast is associated with my blog of the same name, Pen Gen's Inkwell, which can be found on my website, jenwaters.com.